to another episode of the Branching Out podcast. Today we are joined by Grant Morden, our head of finance. So I'm just going to get started here. Hi, Grant. How are you today?
Very good, Jess. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's a busy time of year. It's getting towards the end of the financial year, so we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's and trying to wrap things up. So I'm sure you're busy, so thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
No problem.
Cool. Right, so head of finance, that's got to cover a lot, a lot. Usually head of means that you've got a number of things going on. So could you give
Yes.
us a little bit idea of what the head of finance role is here at Ground Control?
Yeah, so I'm head of finance for rail and infrastructure and all of our overheads. Uh,
Yep.
Rail infrastructure itself has many surface lines, so yeah, there is a lot under my remit and a lot that I need to cover. Um, the best way to sort of approach and get across what I do is sort of think of myself as a financial coach for the
Yep.
division, the business unit, the overhead function, or whatever it may be. My role is to help the business understand its financial game plan. And yeah, as you alluded to, it's a very busy period of time. We're going through a budget, so that's resetting things to understand what's the game plan for the year ahead. And within that, you're sort of setting yourself goals. Yeah, I'm managing budgets, and we're looking for any smart investments. Just like a coach help athletes
Yep.
to improve their performance, I'm doing exactly the same, and I'll guide the team to making the best decisions to maximize their financial health and keep on track of long-term success ultimately. Within that, I use a variety of tools, and we'll go through the decision-making process with the key part as a key partner. And yeah, it'll be strategies, tools, and yeah, to support everyone so they can contribute to the winning formula.
Yeah, so I mean, respectively, I guess, I mean, the operational divisions are responsible for their budget, but
Yeah,
just like anything like with the people team, with you guys in finance, IT, they're not, you can't be expected to be the expert in everything. So you really step in on that money side, and
yeah.
the budget and everything, and where they might need a bit of understanding or support, that's kind of where you come in.
Yes, yeah. So it's using the financial tools at our disposal. You know, looking at short term, medium term, long term, using financial tools, looking at potential new business models, new ventures that we're going to go in, any acquisitions. So yeah, my skills can be applied to a variety of different scenarios. And yeah, we're always looking to tap into the sort of the owner of that area to engage their knowledge to
Yep.
apply it to the financial sort of site.
Okay. So obviously we're talking budgets. We're kind of managing the day to day of trying to keep us in line with our
Yeah,
current budget as
yeah.
well. Um, and then looking out for potential, whether it's acquiring a business or contracts, etc. So what kind of takes up the most of your time then, if or is it kind of all equally spread out?
Um, I, I, I guess it timing wise of what my week may look like depends on what time of the month, depends on what seasonality
Okay.
there is. Sort of at the start of the month end is all about my team, and I have my own team supporting and generating the data, which is
Yep.
for analysis and review with what we've done in the last month, last 6 months, and it's sort of pointing um, backwards. If you're sort of and I support and make sure that they're engaging that data and getting to the highest quality we potentially could get to help with the decision making process.
Yep.
Afterwards, sort of middle of the month, we'll engage with the P&L owners and have wide discussions using that information, looking forward potentially with forecasts to understand where we look like we're going to go. If there are any challenges ahead, how do we mitigate them? How do we, navigate through them in the best way possible? And then towards the end of the month, you'll be looking at sort of ad hoc seasonality things. So yeah, at the moment this is budget season.
Yep.
Budget season sort of starts around about November and finishes about February. And because we have sort of banking covenants, so there's things we've got to satisfy
Yep.
um, to make sure that we get our the right level of debt and the right interest rate and all that. We have to provide the information to them so they get an understanding of what we are doing from a financial aspect. So it is very critical. And then later on, once that's all done, seasonality wise, you're sort of doing June to September. We engage in the audit, and that all drives your financial statements that get submitted on Company House that, so, is viewable for everyone. So that's sort of
Yep.
more the legal side of things.
Okay. So that's a lot. That's a lot to
Yes, yes,
unpack. So where the I guess where your team comes in is providing the data and then doing the back end of kind of making sure that is all right, that we did what we were expecting we did.
yes,
I
yeah,
guess what is the biggest challenge you and your team face then? Because I mean, there obviously you've got a
yeah,
lot on your plate to balance between
yes,
the beginning and the
yeah,
end, and you're following that process each year. Is there a
yeah.
certain challenging time of year for you guys?
The most challenging time would be Q1, Q2, so that start of the financial year, April, May, June's Q1, um, June, July, August, sort of the Q2. That's when we have a sort of a dip in workload, because we work on with various clients, we've got different various service lines. A lot of the workload is Q3, Q4, so that's where we have that little bit of a dip, and part of the financial review and challenges making sure that we don't have that dip, and we try and stay uniform throughout the year to spread the workload. Especially one of being on the railway is the risk of being on site and literally standing next to moving trains. So trying to mitigate the health and safety part of it. But yeah, that's the biggest challenge on me.
Okay. And I guess then obviously you're a numbers guy and you
Yeah.
like your data, and I know you like your detail. I guess what is the most like enjoyable area of working in finance, or what's the most enjoyable part of the
Yes.
whole process that you get to do? What do you enjoy the most out of it?
Yeah, so the most enjoyable bit and is working with people. When I work with the operational team, there's a wealth of experience and knowledge within it that I can tap into and discuss and learn from. And the fact that everyone wants to, get their hands dirty, try and learn something new, venture out. And one of the most enjoyable bits is looking at a new service line itself. Quite recently,
Yeah.
we've essentially acquired the activities of a company called Concept, and it's all around geotechnical solutions. What that is drilling. So we drill into the land to investigate the site, to analyze it and understand what the construction, what the positive and negative of that land is. So that's something that we've recently acquired, literally from the 1st of January. So understanding and learning all about that is one of the most enjoyable things. I even went into London, where the current depot is in East Acton. So bit of a journey to get there, but
Yes.
enjoyable to
From Essex.
understand what. Yes, it is. But yeah, very enjoyable to get my teeth into something new.
So yeah, so I didn't really, yeah, I don't really appreciate. Obviously, I know you help people, like coaching people on like learning your side of things in finance. And I know Jez has talked
Yes,
a lot about how much you've helped him in better
yes,
understanding the finances around ground control and how everything
yes,
works. And I guess for you, it's you. I guess we do it in training a bit sometimes too, is getting that ability to learn about things that you wouldn't otherwise, know if you hadn't if
yes.
you weren't working in rail. Um, is that probably the most exciting thing that's been going on lately is the drilling acquisition, or is there anything else exciting that you're looking forward to in this next year?
Yeah, there's always different challenges that you may see or may not see. At the moment, yeah, as you alluded to, speaking with Jez as I said earlier, it's sort of a bit of a coach. I've got my skill set, Jez has got his, and,
Yeah.
and you sort of tap into both of it and create
Yeah.
a nice sort of forum for debate and understanding about how to conduct yourself in the best way to get value for money, especially with overhead. It's all about value for money, understanding the spend and what you're getting from it. So training is a key part of things.
Yep.
Within rail, we've got a lot of compliance training to make sure
Yes.
everyone is safe on the railway. And
Yep.
I even actually did a course alongside the railway, so I understood more about what the guys on the ground are
Yep.
doing, the guys and gals on the ground are doing. So that was very insightful. Yeah, it's moments like that break up all the day-to-day, the monotony of going through loads of numbers and repetitive
Yep.
tasks,
Yeah.
and understanding, everything that we're doing right now. I like to see what we're doing later on, while also maintaining control over what we've already got.
Yeah, that's really good summary. And I think that building those connections is really important. Like people who maybe
Yes.
don't, or maybe are sometimes afraid to speak to someone in finance because you not necessarily always speak the same language, but finding that
Yes.
common ground is so important. It's worth taking the time to
Yeah.
do because that way we can be more successful as a
Yeah.
business.
Actually, I think it would be good to know that is definitely one of the challenges, and I had forgotten that when I originally stepped into this role. Um, I'd done loads of my accounting training and all this, and you're meant to use certain terminology, and there's
Yep,
always more than one word for one thing, like
yep,
revenues, trade sales revenue. There's loads of different for it, and I did have a conversation with Austin Brown about this, and he said, no, make this simple, use one word. And I was like, yeah, this is all the theory, all the training. They try to make
yeah,
sure you deal with every scenario, but the benefit and the value comes from just saying it in the most simple way. Yes, I know how everything works, but when you're speaking to someone in the ops side, keep it simple, keep it valuable, and then it just means that communication is as lean as possible.
yeah, and it makes it approachable as well. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
done finance. I did some finance training at uni. I guess we'll call it uni.
yeah.
I would call it college because I'm American, but
College,
at
okay.
uni, and I wrote like a 50-page thesis on overhead costs. But I would
Yeah.
never like try to talk to Jez about those kinds of things, or
Oh yeah,
um,
he'll switch right off. Yeah,
no, I'll switch right off. But yeah, it's about putting all and that's kind of what my thesis was, is putting all the terms into more understandable way for
yes,
someone to maybe reading it and understand the impact of those costs. But I think coming from the flip side, if somebody is maybe a bit nervous about speaking to finance about things, I mean, you guys are a very friendly team. I love the finance team. Um, I don't know. I've always remember,
yeah,
especially when we were all more in the office, I'd just go straight into the finance area,
yes,
and I always like having a good chat with you guys. So you're there as a coach and a resource for you know
yes,
the business to, and don't be afraid to reach out by all means. It can only
yes.
help us. So maybe the language, that kind of a misconception or stereotype about finance, or what would you say is a one misconception or stereotype that you think people have about finance that maybe isn't quite true that you'd like to debunk?
Yeah, so the stereotype that I've come up against throughout my, well, I'm going to say long career at ground control now, because I've only just been here 10 years now, which is absolutely crazy because I finished uni and almost rolled into this
Yeah.
role.
Yeah, we
The
started at the
biggest,
same time, I think, actually about the same time, I think within a few weeks of each other. So yeah, 10
oh,
years.
very
Well
nice.
done. Well
Oh,
done,
very,
we
yeah,
did
well done to you too. Well done
it.
to you too. Yeah, the stereotype is that we just sit behind a computer and just generate numbers, and to some degree, that's a large part of it. And you need to extract the value from the numbers in the right way because it's a very big company. A lot is going on. We're trying to translate that information into numbers, which is great, but that isn't the whole story. And
No.
I learned that while on my journey at ground control, that people matter significantly within it, and you've got to get behind the numbers. You need to understand it, and really get into the granular detail when required. And yeah, having the conversations with Jess and reaching out is something that in finance we don't do enough, but it's something that we are trying to engage in, and we've got a lot better at. So yeah, that stereotype being stuck behind numbers is what it used to be. We're trying to move along into a new era, which is engaging with them. And I think a good example is that I'd always heard that there's a lot of risk on the railway line. Um, as you'd expect, as a train going past at 100, 125 miles per hour. I actually did my PTS, which is a personal track safety course, so
Yep.
I can get a better understanding. And straight away, they're going through all this knowledge. And what stuck with me is that the overhead line cables, they're 25,000 volts. So if you're doing anything at height, which is predominantly what we do veg clearance, and
Yep.
trees are very tall where you need to get close to them. If you ever get near the overhead line, then that's game over, and it's a high risk area. So that makes me understand and helps me understand what people on the ground are doing, and that's why the compliance training and focus and reminder on health and safety is very key, and that's all behind the numbers. The numbers will
Yep.
never tell you that. So that's
Yeah.
the stereotype.
Yeah, the story that the numbers tell. It's good to have numbers, it's good to have all that
Yeah,
data, but you guys kind of you that are able to provide that context and that story so that we can understand as a business and make the right decisions and keep people
yes,
safe and have people go home at the end of the day is the most important thing, really.
yeah,
Cool. So I'm gonna move on a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit more about you. Um, so don't worry, it's not bad. We are the training team, so we're always trying to talk about learning and development.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you did make me think of a question earlier, which I'm going to start with, and that I guess if somebody, say, is a bit shy about finance and about financial terms, about budgeting, is there
yes.
anything you would recommend them to check out to get a better understanding or some really basic?
Yeah, there's a whole host of resources that you can tap into to help bridge that gap of knowledge or just being fearful of diving into that. There's a wide variety of finance team members at different levels that you can engage with. They'll either help you out there, or they'll put you in the right direction. Um, so yeah, ultimately engage with the finance team more, and then that helps us with our side of things, which is to engage with more people around the business.
When it comes to, obviously you've done a lot of learning over the years. I know you've done a lot of financial courses and
Yes.
you did your degree. Um, I guess how do you keep on top of like knowledge in the financial industry, and how do you keep on top of that? What resources do you use for that?
Yeah, so I got my qualification ACCA, which is the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, and they're all about continual progress, personal development, and within that you get a membership. I get a yearly membership, and it sends me a lot of content about the world around us, really,
Yep.
and what's happening both politically and environmentally and everything in between that, and that gives us tools to use to keep that we'll obviously pick and choose what we believe is right for us, and tapping into that to yeah help us improve and grow continually, really. And yeah, one of the key areas that we dived into when we started using D365 was Power BI, and it was almost fate that they sent out the content, and it literally explained that a lot of people are moving to different platforms like that to engage with the data in a more digestible way. So that is something that I tapped into, and it's very useful, and I can even pass that out to some of my colleagues that may not be at that level yet, but can learn from these little small bite-sized pieces, courses,
Yep.
which yeah helps us continue to move in the right direction.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't have, it's not just worrying about our little bubble ground control, what's going on and
Yeah.
with our clients. It's about there are things going on in the world, and that does
Yes.
impact ultimately our clients and us as a business. So it's keeping
Yes.
on top of that, which is really important. So you did your your degree or your qualification. I always mix these words up because my brain
Yeah.
wants to call everything a degree. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess what else have you done developmentally in the last year or two?
Yeah. So I've yeah. So just to give you a bit of context, yeah. So I did a degree, business studies, a whole host of elements, mathematics, economics, accounting, management, all these other bits and pieces. And then from that, I figured out I wanted to be an accountant. And then I did my ACCA, which gives you the whole host of information. You got tax, performance analysis, everything everything that you will need. From that, you get a real core basis of the finances and understanding how to help a business be um, fluid with the environment around it. What it doesn't do really is give you that day-to-day experience of speaking to people, and it's too theory based. And from that, the last 2 years I did my GC Academy Intensifier course. So that was the first year it's ever done, and
Yep.
what it done is it engaged my essentially skills that were underdeveloped was speaking to people. You've got presentations, thinking outside the box and problem solving is always key, but it's applying that in many different scenarios because you never know what's the road ahead is. So that GC Academy Intensifier course was really valuable to me, and that also helped branch out with all the stakeholders in the division, because when I essentially took on the role, I jumped straight into GC Academy to help fill in those blanks that I felt like I had. And on that course, I had people within rail and infrastructure, so it already helped me engage with them on a day-to-day basis more. So yeah, I do like training. I always do like learning, and in ground control, I like to invest in you, so I will jump at every opportunity.
Yeah, is there anything you're looking to maybe do? Maybe do another few GC academies in the next year, or is there anything else you're looking to for development wise?
Yeah. At the moment, I'm looking, and I've recently been asked if I wanted to do a leadership course. So that's more of a one-to-one personal development side of things. So it's where you'll engage with a coach. They'll assess you within an environment that they set to understand you as a person, to see your strengths, your weaknesses, and then how to move you in the right direction. So because I've been sort of self-evaluating, that has its limitations.
Yep.
And hopefully someone else might be a little bit more critical or might see something I don't. So yeah, I'm always looking to improve.
Yeah, so we are, I think, yeah, we're starting to do more. We're doing 2 levels, coaching and mentoring. I think that Jez will probably talk more about in the next few weeks or months. And that is to kind of support people like you in your leadership role in the business, and others looking to get up to leadership, to mentor and help coach you, just to, just help. And I think you made a really good point. And if somebody hasn't done anything with the GC Academy yet, the courses they obviously, Ollie and Jez talk a lot about, like, they do a bit of theory, but it's that practical application where you can actually then immediately apply what you're learning to your own job, which I think is quite crucial. I mean,
the
helpful.
skills are definitely transferable. The skills are definitely transferable to many different roles, and you get different viewpoints of different people. So yeah, it's valuable, and yeah, if ground control put an opportunity in front of you, I say grab it.
Definitely. Good advice. Good advice. Speaking of which, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know you need to get back to the budgeting, the fun that is. Just to end on, what would be your best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Best piece of advice. I'm gonna hopefully lean towards the training team, and essentially say the best advice I've ever got is directly from GC Academy. Something, it's ultimately a metaphor, and it was called eat that frog. So what that means is when you're doing your day-to-day, always tackle the most challenging task first. So it might be challenging because you don't want to do it, or it might be challenging because it's going to take up a lot of your resource, and by delaying things, you're going to procrastinate, and by procrastinating, it makes you not want to do it even more. So that's the main piece, and there is definitely a book about it. I haven't specifically read it, but the same knowledge from it is focus on that most meaningful task in the morning and just get it done, because you feel better afterwards, and you can focus on other things that may be slightly more enjoyable.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you very much, Grant. Hope to catch up with you again soon, and take care.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jess.
Right, you heard it, folks. Eat that frog, get that nagging task done. It's a great book, actually, by Tracy Bryan, 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Done in Less Time. Thanks again to Grant Morden for taking the time to chat with us. We'll be back next month with a new episode. Until then, take care.